What is up, everyone? This is Cher talking. Welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I will be talking about Romancing SaGa 2 Revenge of the Seven, bringing news straight out from Gematsu. The first news I'll be talking about was released on day 30 of August, but I didn't cover it because it was not enough information, but now we have two articles and a lot of information to discuss. Okay, so we will be meeting these new characters. We have the freelance mage that already existed. I didn't meet when I was playing. And Rose, another freelance mage, the female version. And this one is already inside Romancing SaGa universe. And they are more focused on hydrology and theurology, it seems. And Rose is actually more focused on pyrology and theurology. So they change between different male and female version. There is Yuan, strategist. He is part of the main plot, though. And Jubei, not really part of the main plot, but kinda-ish. And he's a great sword user. And Natalie, she's a diver. That is somehow part of the main plot because he leads you to killing one of the 7 heroes. Sierra is a character that you recruit when you are going after the real queen. Then there's Tatis, and she is very helpful. Mermaid, she heals when you use any type of water spell in a fight. I do believe that they will make her even better on this one. And now we have more information about the combat. Learning new techniques via the Glimmer system. Okay, so players can check which character classes can learn what techniques through the Glimmer chart. There's a Glimmer chart. Different characters classes have different affinities for learning techniques. Any techniques that have not yet been learned appear as a string of question marks, while any techniques that cannot be learned due to the character class being unable to wield it are marked with an icon stuck through with a diagonal line. So what are they talking about? Here, look. By using Head Blow, you can learn Twin Strike. You can learn this second one that has question marks, and the third one is Block It, but you still haven't unlocked this with any other character. What does that mean? That means that if you are using Head Blow, this costs 5 BP, you can learn Twin Strike, but you already had learned it. It is even here. And you can still spark a new technique. That is nice. The third one, you won't be able to. So this means that the game always tells you the type of skills you can spark. This will be related as well to unlocking new skills. So the second skill may be part of a tree that unlocks the next one, and then on and on and on. Pretty nice. And Vacuum Slash can be glimmered through Whirlwind, as you can see here. Whirlwind only unlocks Vacuum Slash. This may be related to the weapon level of your character as well. Like we were testing in the demo, it looks like reaching a certain specific weapon level will start giving you slow chances of glimmering, but when you reach a very high weapon mastery, it will be very high chances to spark. Okay. Then you can see Vacuum Slash being used in fight. And I do believe that they are kind of related. As you can see, the Whirlwind attack even has the wind icon. It's nice that they are kind of making the attacks have the icons, because some of the attacks always had elemental damage. Not many of them though. Now Rock Splitter can be glimmered from Twin Strike. As you can see here, Twin Strike can glimmer 3 different techniques. Maybe Twin Strike with the weapon mastery of, I don't know, 8 sparks Rock Splitter, and then it sparks something else. Stuff like that. And it's using here Rock Splitter. It's strong versus bone enemies. Then we have new spells and formations. Revenge of the Seven introduces brand new spells and formations that were not present on the original game. Some examples include spell Water Blast. This one exists in other Romancing SaGa games and can be upgraded to Water Blast 2 as well, which attacks multiple enemies in a straight line and lowers their physical defense. Pretty nice, because you're using a spell to lower the physical defense, and then you can attack with a physical attacker. Then Pulverize, it's a theurology spell, manifests a floating boulder and slams into a foe. That should be a blunt damage. I don't know. Here it's different though. it is probably just earth damage. Formations, we have Finged Assault. Can be learned when a mercenary is appointed as an emperor. The foremost unit has increased physical attack power, but they also become easier for enemies to target. That can be very nice, especially if you are using a tanky emperor, and there are versions of the emperor that can be very tanky. Then Volcanic Heart can be learned when Salamander is appointed as emperor. That is dangerous because in the original, to get the Salamander, you'll be skipping black magic, and it's a very good type of magic. All units get a significant boost in both offense power, wit, and magic defense against pyrology. So very specific against pyrology that can help you versus some of the 7 heroes fights. Then systems, now we have development incantations lab. Spells that have been learned via the Glimmer system will be registered in the incantations lab, where they can be taught to other characters with high enough level in the appropriate spell school. So you'll be increasing your global rank for elements, and then some of the characters may have different alignments and learn one spell faster than the another, but once someone learns, it will be registered, and then if you have a very high level, you can just learn with new characters without having to spark. That is very nice. And we can see the new skill, Pulverize. You can see here that it is a Earth icon, and the Shadow icon is here, Black Magic, and the fusion spells are now in a separated icon. That is very good. Players can now develop the Synthesized spells. Those are fusion spells, and you can find it old books hidden in dungeons in the overworld. Different than the original, where you could actually have them learn it by developing them. You had to pay a price, and then the mage would then develop in the next generation. So maybe the Salamander class is not really related to learning shadow spells anymore. Strange, because we don't have the shadow icon right after the sun icon here. So this person that was playing didn't unlock it yet. Okay. Incantations lab, spell synthesizes. There are plenty of different ones that you can see here on the tree. And wind probably coming from the left side, and then the left side fusing with water means this one here. Water is probably from this point, I don't know. Pretty interesting. We also see the attack here, Diamond Dust. Diamond Dust is based on sun and water. And you still have to pay the price to develop. Yeah, maybe you have to find, and then you still have to pay for development. Okay. Imperial University allows players to take Imperial exams, testing their knowledge in a variety of different subjects. Passing these exams can reward crafting materials and crafts. That is important because I believe the crafting materials will be used by the new class that we'll be talking in a few. But University already exists in the original as well, but maybe they will expand on this one. And you get some Aurum. Aurum is the gold name in this game. And you can also get Beastly Claw, Small Horn. Those are materials for craft. Okay, you have to answer all of those questions, but it should be easy for people that join our Discord. We'll probably have a channel just for this type of stuff. Players can also visit the Imperial University Odeon to listen to both the original and updated arrangements of the game soundtrack. Very nice. Real Universe also has this, and we can listen to such an amazing soundtrack. Development Avalon Gardens. Once developed, the Avalon Gardens will encourage more tourism of the capital, increasing Imperial revenue. This already exists in the original as well. The gardens will grow more lush and more battles are won, increasing the amount of revenue as they do. And you can see here your city and everything that you are developing. You can see developing icon. Maybe this means that you need to skip a generation in order to really complete. Not so sure if they can allow you to see it before. Imperial Standing. The feature allows players to check the Empire's overall weapon and spell school levels. Overall standing will increase as long as weapons and spells are used in battle and their levels are raised. As the Empire's overall standing increases, The base level and strength of new retinue members recruitable from taverns also increases. The Imperial standing string also displays enemy strength, current Imperial revenue, and overall battle records. This was seen in the demo, and it's amazing because you can see here enemy strength level 8. That means that's battle rank 8. But in this game, it looks like they will not stop on battle rank 15 like most Saga games go, because in this screenshot, level 8 and the weapon mastery, I guess here is 26 and is so far from 90. Who knows? You can see also the number of battles, and it was like 242 to just be 8. That probably means that we'll have higher values. And like I said, some of these global levels will also help you understand the type of skills you can spark. Then Imperial Chronicles allows players to see records of all that they have done in the story thus far, as well as the next possible objectives. We played on the demo, and this was amazing to know what you're needing to do. And there is a blacksmith already here in Avalon. Nice, there is a quest related to it. And this makes it so that the game is easy to progress and you never get lost. In the overall map, you have fast travel, very good. And there are pictures of the first dungeons. Mr. S Finder, this is super nice. Mr. S is a familiar face in any Saga fan, and he has an habit of turning up in all kinds of old places and over the world. From towns to dungeons, each time Mr. S is found, he rewards a player with a sticker. Collecting stickers unlocks all sorts of benefits, such as increasing the amount of revenue gained after each victorious encounter, bonus stuff, decreasing the amount of time it takes to build new facilities, or revealing the location of undiscovered treasure chests. Very nice stuff for people that want to collect stuff, and he is a very peculiar character. You're probably gonna find him easy. And there is an almanac, Mr. S Finder. I don't know what's this, but there are treasures and a lot of rewards here. And they talk about the freeform scenario in Sunken Ship. This is a side quest that will happen, and it's the one related to Merchant and also the Diver somehow, I guess, as you can see here. On day, the small portal of Toba in South Longit is struck by a fierce storm that shows no signs of letting up. The storm has left the locals unable to fish. A diver from now informs the Emperor that a pirate by the name of Garon was shipwrecked somewhere in the middle of the South Longit Sea after being attacked by Narwhal, ruler of the sea. So this is the Narwhal's daughter scenario as well, as we can see. Some water enemies, pretty cool looking, and you can decide upon choosing different paths, like seek help from the fisherman or then seek help from the witch, as you can see the witch here. And if you seek help from the fisherman, if the player makes peace with the Narwhals after she destroyed one of the Empire's bridges, a messenger from the mermaids will give the player a mermaid potion. And as you can see, the bridge was broken. You can fix that later. And now I was saying, well, surely you understand why I needed it to stop ScherBR from assimilating our strength as his own. He was absorbing creatures. And using the mermaid potion allows the player to reach the sunken shipwreck. Garon, the ghostly pirate who summoned the storm, waits for the retinue in its depths. So very nice, as you can see, Garon is here. Seeking help from the witch will go in a different way, and we can see the Nereid being found here, the mold, and the story quests will go in a different route. But in the end, it's still super similar. This was the first article. Let's move into the next one from Gematsu as well. As we can see here, more information, character classes, systems, and all. So we see Noel here, and also Final Emperor and Final Empress, the last class that you will be able to use. The last Emperor of Valorine is able to make use of the inheritance magic due to its limits. That's the end of the line. A figure that has inherited all the memories and thoughts of all preceding emperors of the Valorine Empire. I don't know if they would change something like having kind of a limit on the times you can reincarnate with the inheritance, but maybe it makes sense that they do. And here we have a new class, Imperial Blacksmith. I do believe that they will also replace the old blacksmith that you already had in the original, where you could craft either armors or weapons. Now, this class will probably be taking care of that, because we will be crafting with items that drop from enemies, but also from treasure chests. So a group of blacksmiths who create the weapons of the Imperial Guard. The traditional skills are passed down through strict apprentices and family lineage. Among them, House Fabry has produced excellent blacksmiths for generations. They have extensive knowledge of weapons. As you can see, then we have the next class, the Dancer. Pretty cool one. I don't know if they will have something, but maybe. He performs a spectacular dance at the Atlantic's pub in the region of South Longit. Maybe based on the past quest we were just talking about. Fell in love with an emperor. It seems interesting that there is a plot line where it looks like the emperor that you have chosen can have a love relationship with a mermaid, and she may be born out of this. So it's a class that is royal somehow, and hopefully very good as well. And it's interesting because this blacksmith reminds me of Nora from Romancing SaGa 3, and the dance reminds me of Barbara from Minstrel Song. And we have the ninja class that was released on the remaster of 2017. Pretty nice. And she's super popular on Romancing SaGa universe and all. And a member of a mysterious organization that undertakes shadowy tasks such as espionage, intelligence gathering, and sabotage of enemy countries while wearing distinctive outfits, bold, tough, and stubborn. She wields her wits to survive. So I am sure that they included this character to be inside the game now, not just someone that you could recruit in a special dungeon. The Diviner was the second class added in the remaster, and he will probably be included in the main quests as well. As we can see here, a member of the mysterious organization that has mastered the study of astronomical almanacs, uses unique spells and undertakes monster extermination and other tasks. They search for ancient magical tomes in search of lost and forbidden arts. The demon ring, which they wear, increases their resistance to magical attacks. Maybe they will make it so that they will be the ones to teach you black magic. Not so sure. Could be an interesting idea. And also Copelia. And it's interesting because Copelia is a character that most people only play in the last generation because she has 99 LP. And it looks like you can trigger her to be your emperor faster in this version. The magnum opus of Hiraga, a genius inventor from Somon, a spring-loaded, fully automatic doll. In the original version, she is someone you cannot control. It's like she's Berserk. Speaks in a harsh and rude manner to everyone. Her signature outfit, the Prima Tutu, is said to be well fit for combat with a wide variety of resistances. So she will be very resistant to probably physical type. I don't know about magical types. Now, combat. Weapon-specific techniques. Some techniques are weapon-specific and can only be used with certain weapons, of course, most of them. There are two types of weapon-specific techniques. Those that can be used simply by equipping the weapon, and those that can be used by glimmering while using a weapon. Those weapon-specific are those skills that come in specific weapons like the Holy Light, or from Sword Exorciser, where you can just kill undead enemies with a special skill. They even say here they Blade and Moonlight, the two weapons bestowed on the final male and female emperors, have powerful weapon-specific techniques. Holy Light is they Blade weapon-specific tech that incinerates enemies with the Holy Light. And you can even use the plus version as well, as you can see here. All weapons have plus, it seems. Maybe it's just that you can enhance via forging system. And you can see the spell being used here versus an ad. Lunar Blade, it's from Moonlight, it's weapon-specific tech. This technique sends sword blows at all enemies with the power of the moon. Power of the moon, power of the sun. Emperor and Empress, like how they were designed on Romancing SaGa Reuniverse 2. They even have here Lunar Blade being used, pretty nice attack. Noel has it as well. And Final Strike is a weapon that breaks your weapon. So you should not be using this too much. Interesting that you are seeing Emerald using it, and it's not really a weapon for Emerald. There's Dancing Sword, a great sword weapon specific technique. And who's using it? Copelia. That's interesting because, well, most people use her as a martial artist unit anyway. And Destruction, another weapon-specific weapon. Well, most of them are very similar. Starlight Arrows also do damage to the party, as you can see here, but it's a strong AoE attack. Now, ley lines. The battlefield can occasionally have ley lines that are based on the elements, as you can see here. Both allies and enemies benefit from the increased power, and they can also recover HP, just like in the original. The Mermaid kinda benefits from the same. And characters that are attuned to the key line recover a certain amount of HP at the end of each turn. Much like I talked about Mermaid. And you can see here, probably the wind element has been used and they are healing. Well, they can be dispelled by using attack or spell of the opposing element. So if you have water, maybe use fire, it will be removed. And in this case here, she's using Dual Gunner. Why is she using Dual Gunner? I'm not so sure. They are just showcasing some stuff here. Even defend icon. Now, the defend icon is interesting because it decreases a lot of the damage, but depending on the formation, you'll never know who gets attacked or not. New synthesized spells. This title features not only new regular spells such as Water Blast and Pulverize, but also the new mechanic synthesized spells, which are powerful spells combining two different spell schools. I don't know why they are saying that this is a new mechanic though. But there's Ring of Death, that it's Umbrology and Hydrology. Rains poison on all enemies. It has a chance of inflicting doom. Landslide raises the surrounding earth and sand and strikes with a blast of sand and gravel. I don't know if they will have WoW elemental spells. That will be interesting. The second one, it's an earth and dark that targets all enemies, lowering their physical defense. I mean, you do have the dual elemental on the cast, but it's not really dual elemental damage, or is it? I'm not so sure. Flash Fire, it's an old one. Fire and Light, and it incinerates all enemies in an instant. It can even stun. Critical damage to undead as well. Restoration is well, very nice. HP increases ailments, but does not revive fallen allies. AoE healing. That makes it so much easier because this game is not really traditional on the original release, now making it standard because AoE healing is rare in Romancing SaGa. Now they talk about the 7 heroes, and we have here Wagner's. They won't save the world from a great calamity before disappearing. Maybe they'll focus a little more on that and showing that they were not so evil with the backstory and all. Leader, he aims to take over Yalda to find the abhorrent ancients, using the Skyfaring Fortress, the floating castle, as his stronghold. He's a master of pyrology, aerology, and cosmology. 3 elements! When he was a human, he is said to have been a man of noble spirit. That means that we'll probably be able to see their past, but I don't know if it will be when we switch generations or what. This is Wagner's monster form, that's pretty androgynous, as you can see the first form. And we can even see the second form. That's just a little bit of spoiler territory somehow. This is Noel, and I won't be reading too much because we already know. It's kind of the same. They are all humans that became evilish somehow. As you can see, Noah is the one that stays too close to his original design. Subir becomes a beast, and he looks so great in the remake. Look, really great. One of the best ones even. Second form is with a whale, as you can see here, because, yeah, he absorbed it. Oh, well. There is the Entarg, and the Entarg here also looks amazing. Much like Rock Bouquet, stays very close to the original human form, as you can see, which is the spirit surrounding her. She is a sister of Noah, so they are the ones that look more human. Bolkon looks very evil, as you can see. He's a master of puppets, and his second form is a puppet manipulating another puppet. And Kazinski, well, we all know because he appears on the start, and he looks really great. I really like the design that they did for him. It's like a demon, but not just a normal type of demon. And this version here replicates the original animation as well. And look at that. I haven't seen it yet, and it's really cool that there's this giant head that's rapid. And battle against the 7 heroes. Each of the 7 heroes has a unique and powerful technique, commenting their status as powerful warriors. The predictive signs of the techniques are displayed on the timeline, so utilizing countermeasures and lane lines according will be the key to victory. Like this one is using Firestorm, and I'm not so sure if it's in the timeline here, but probably was. And the affinity, if it's fire, you're gonna take more damage maybe. Phantom Chivalry. Unique technique used by Noel, and well, they will be talking about all of the types of skills, and the most dangerous one is Temptation, because this one will charm all male characters. So you need to either avoid by learning avoid skills, or just bring male characters. Sorry, female characters, of course. There's Tidal Wave, that's a very strong attack that could stun kill. And the other ones have similar effects. And of course, we have Kazinsi that here actually switches to Shadow Nova, because their Soul Steel is only used in the prologue. And then Prequel of the 7 heroes. By touching the fragments of memories of the 7 heroes scattered around the world, the player can get a glimpse of the events. So that's how you can see their storylines. You find them on specific points, probably a little before you fight them or something. So this was in Kazinsi's mansion, as you can see. It can be replayed after you see them for the first time. Explains why the 7 heroes became enemies of the mankind, and by collecting all the memory fragments, something special may occur. I do believe we may be able to fight this special boss fight for Romancing SaGa universe. Who knows? Imagine if we can play with them. And they are numbered, and there are, whoa, 15 books. Oh, there's a lot of cutscenes, and you can also see something here like unlock ability, 3 hit united attacks. Oh, that's crazy. Annex region rewards in memories of this is something related. This is probably just story based, and here the bottom one is when you conquer new side of the continent, you're gonna unlock new stuff, like you can get 3 hit united attacks and eventually master abilities, new classes added. What does that mean? New classes added at the end of the game. Facility unlocks, new facility unlocks, facility expansion unlocks, 4 hit united attacks is just on the end of the game. 11 regions unlocked. Interesting, I'm hyped. And as you can see here, some of the cutscenes. And the freeform on Comroon is a volcano. Recently the frequency of eruptions have been increasing. Mountain Comroon is complicated because on the original game, it's how the salamanders can be sacrificed in order to get the black magic. The decision of whether or not to prevent a massive volcanic eruption will drastically change the island's future. Yeah, not many salamanders will survive if you don't save them. Okay, so that's the end of the articles from Gematsu, but I do have another one that I want to talk about. Here we have an interview on RPG Site, and I'll be trying to increase this size here because it will be easier for us to read. So they managed to interview on PAX West the producer Shinichi Tatsuki. So it's not Ishikawa-san, maybe Ishikawa is another producer. So his previous produced game was Trials of Mana, for which they also interviewed him back in 2019. But let's see, there's not much to say, but RPG Site asks, how did the decision come about to make Romancing SaGa to remake all of the SaGa games? And he says, to discuss the timeline of events on how the remake of Romancing SaGa 2 happened. As you know, back in 2020, I was involved with the remake of Trials of Mana. After that, the team and I were considering which title we should work on next. That was when the SaGa team approached me. I heard a different story. The story I heard was that they made a pre-build and showed it to Saga team. So the story I heard makes no sense. Let's believe the producer. Asked him if I wanted to join the team for Romancing SaGa 2 Remake, and that's how I got involved with the project. So to answer your question on why we chose Romancing SaGa 2 out of all Saga titles, the Saga team has a goal of expanding the series to wider audiences around the globe, so that's amazing. And also when they were starting to bring Romancing SaGa Universe to global, not just in Japan, we wanted to make the series bigger, and we wanted to make a remake, just like we did for Trials of Mana, which is generally the background as to how this project happened. The reason why we chose Romancing SaGa 2 is that we already created a remake of Romancing SaGa 1 called Minstrel Song, which was originally released in 2006 and received a recent remaster. However, we haven't done any remakes since then, so we figured that it was a good time to pick up on that again and make another remake for the Saga series. Also, Romancing SaGa 2 is a pretty crazy game that it just exceeds many other RPGs of its time, but also has plenty of complicated mechanics. Romancing SaGa 2 is unique within its whole series due to the generation mechanic. Still is. Many games try to inspire the system. One day I'll make a video about it, where you switch from generation to generation as you proceed through the different scenarios in the game. In the original versions, this was dictated by an obscure point system in the background, based on battles and scenario completion. Has that changed at all? How does the generation systems work in the remake? Yeah, it was super complicated. As I mentioned, the Emperor inheritance systems in the original is one of the most unique systems in the game. As a producer of the development team, we believe that this is not only considered unique for its time, but even by modern standards. We still feel that his inheritance system is very unique. The core component of the inheritance system is taken as is from the original version. However, we did make some fine-tuning and sort of adjustments to the more granular parts of the system. I do believe that he's talking more about the battle number, but it will be closer to number of quests you have done or specific key events. One of the examples is that the original title, players were not able to willingly have the Emperor abdicate the throne at the time the players wanted. So in the original version, what players did instead was that they will lose battle on purpose to have the Emperor move on to the next one. In this remake, we have a new system where players can get to choose if they want the Emperor to abdicate on his own. So you can do that instead of losing battles on purpose. Also, we managed to kill some of our characters in order to replace them, and that does not need to happen anymore. You can just go to pub and switch your characters. Another adjustments that we made is that when you move on to the next Emperor next in the generation, in the original version, players had 4 characters to choose from. In the remake, that was expanded to 6, so that they have 6 different options when they move into the next season. Amazing. And as you can see, you get new formations when you start with new generations as well, if you choose a different character for the first time. Romancing SaGa 2, as we established, has this unique generation mechanic like most RPGs. However, Revenge of the Seven is seemingly being positioned as a good entry point for newcomers to the series. I'm curious what adjustments or additions are being made to tell Square Enix fans who don't know Saga why they should play this game. Well, quality of life updates, making everything better than it was before. But okay, Tatsuki says in order to appeal this remake to the newcomers of the series or people who have not had the opportunity yet to play the Saga series, we identified the challenges to achieve that. One of our big goals was to have more newcomers play this remake of the Revenge of the Seven. But in order to do that, there are 2 challenges that we saw. One of those challenges being the barrier of entry, and then the other one being how we communicate the strengths of the series. Start with the first point. The barrier of entry. Our understanding was that a lot of players had this impression that the Saga series was a difficult title to play, or that it was very hard because of the complicated rules and systems the Saga titles had. So we anticipated that a lot of the players had imagined it for the Saga series, and they are real. So because of that, in the remake, we took some of the rather complicated rules or systems and tried to ease that up a bit and make it a more mild. One example is that in the original release of Romancing SaGa 2, enemy weaknesses were there. It wasn't the system, it just that it was not visible to the players, so the players had to figure out on their own how to strike weakness for each of the enemies because it was not displayed in the game. In this remake, that's going to be actually displayed, so it's easier for the players to understand what kind of attacks they need to do and hit those weak spots. And also, helps that you have a glossary, and every time that you are trying different techniques versus the enemy, it will be registered, and you can find the different weaknesses that will appear every time. Then there are the added difficulty options, where we have 3 different levels of difficulty. We have casual, which is catered towards players who just want to experience a narrative. So those are some of the examples of the efforts that we made to ensure that the newcomers got to have an enjoyable time experience this game. As for the second challenge, again, as you mentioned it, Emperor Inheritance system is a very unique system where players get to experience not only just one protagonist, instead spans into multiple generations and multiple different protagonists. In most games, you only have one single protagonist, and you follow that protagonist's life. But in Romancing SaGa 2, it's not really that way. We have multiple protagonists and multiple lives, and we eventually got to witness the story of an entire nation. We got to experience the entire piece of story on that nation and multiple generations of protagonists. In order to communicate that strength for Romancing SaGa 2, we wanted to make sure we remove that barrier and make sure that it's easier to, and more intuitive to the players to play. This was one of the main components we wanted to communicate to newcomers, making sure that they understand that Revengeance with 7 is perfect entry point for the series. But he is also missing a little bit of the point. One important fact is that people need to understand that this is not a sequel. It just has a number 2 attached, just like Final Fantasies. And they can start with the second one in the series without having to play, for example, Minstrel Song. And I do believe that he also changed the game so that Gerard and, well, somehow Leon appears a little more, but Gerard will be playable for more than in the original. So that is already important because people can get attached to him. And after that, you have to choose different protagonists. So that was very throughout answer, and I appreciate it. Has the narrative of the game expanded or changed? Or has anything been added compared to the original? Or is it mostly the same scenario-based narrative style of the original? To answer your question regarding the main storyline, that's going to stay mostly the same. However, as part of the adjustments in turning to 2D game into a 3D game, there were a lot of character dialogues that were just too simple for modern games. So there, we did fill the gap there and try to perfect the dialogues in this way. There are a lot of changes in the dialogue, but in terms of the main story itself, that's going to stay mostly the same. That being said, there are some additions and newly added elements to the story. Unfortunately, I cannot really talk about the details yet, so we hope you look forward to our future announcements. Of course, they added the 7 heroes backstory and expanded new classes into making it part of the main narrative as well. So really amazing stuff. I have one more specific question here. Many of the recent SaGa titles have had a new game plus systems where you can restart the game at any point to essentially keep some progressions but start over, especially Emerald Beyond. This was useful if you got stuck in difficulty or seemingly unwinnable situation. Generally, it was nice to carry over progress to repeated playthroughs. Does Revenge of the 7 has any sort of new game system like that? And he says, in terms of whenever Romancing SaGa to Revenge of the 7 is going to have a new game plus or not, apologies. That's something I cannot answer at this time. So again, we hope you look forward. Nice! Spoilers are forbidden. You mentioned in your question that players may use the New Game Plus feature to get themselves out of unwinnable situations. It is somehow kind of a failure in design, because if you get into too much of the situations, it means that balance is broken. But here he says that there are other ways in this remake for players to get out of those tough, difficult situations. One of those is that they now have the added difficulty, which you can change in the game, so players can get themselves out of the situations. That's something that we added for the players' benefit. In the original release, the game can make it unfavorable for the players if they, for example, run away from battle too many times, as they may still get stuck in an unwinnable situation. So in this game, we try to make sure that the players can progress the game smoothly. Especially in the demo, we can see that we can recover NP inside dungeons at least once, refresh so that we can fight the boss without having to use items, and we have access to more resources as well. Okay. Then, if I remember correctly, in the original version, running from a battle counts the same as fighting a battle as far as the scaling goes. So it was not good to flee, huh? Also, anyways, which of the 7 heroes is your favorite? Natsuki then replies with, this is a tough choice, and it's tough to go into details why I picked this character without going up too deep in the details without spoiling anything. I will have to say it's Wagner's. In order to fully understand why I really like this character, you have to know the full story behind him. Wagner's led the 7 heroes, and at one point they were very respected among the people. However, the 7 heroes are back for revenge. Part of what makes this character enticing is the player wondering why that happened. Then the next one, I'm curious, are the other Saga producers like Akitoshi Kawazu and Masanori Ishikawa involved with Revenge of the Seven, providing input towards the project in any way? Or is this project more free reign for you in terms of how this Remake is to handle it? It says, actually, Ishikawa's one that invited me into the Saga team. Great work, Ishikawa, because the game is looking amazing. So there's that connection there. The one and only thing that Ishikawa asked me to do when I took on the role as a producer of Revenge of the Seven was that he wanted to make this game into something that a lot of people will play. You succeed, man. More people who haven't played the Saga series yet. That was really the only direction that I received it from him. And he didn't really provide any other specific details on how he wanted this to be. So in terms of the actual gameplay elements, he didn't have any specific orders. In terms of Kawazu, he actually did give me free reign, and he was comfortable with me taking this game in the direction that I wanted to. That being said, there were some elements of the worldview of Romancing SaGa that I was not very clear on. So there were times that I would consult him and ask for his advice on how we should do certain things, which he did provide input on. That is an amazing information, because I do believe that Kawazu is always focusing on new games. Doesn't want to remake his own game, so he allows people to go there and remake if they want, and he knows everything on the top of his head. And how good is Kenji Ito? Kenji Ito, as you may already know, has been active for the past 30 plus years, composing tracks all the way back to the Super Famicom era. For this remake, we asked him to compose new arrangements and new songs as well. I suppose my impression of him is that he's actually still in his prime. That's just really impressive when you consider that he's been active for more than 30 years. It feels like he still retains all the energy that he had in his younger years. He's still learning new things about music, which is really admirable. Well, Kenji Ito always composes bangers, so we are in for some really great time with Romancing SaGa 2 Remake. I am very hyped, and as you know, we'll be covering this game in our channel. So if you're not on the Discord channel as well yet, please join. The link is always in the description. And how about you? What do you think about this all? Are you hyped? I want to hear you so much. I hope to see you soon in the next video or live stream. Goodbye.